Hi and good afternoon. You're welcome to another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Clivina TV. My name is Frank Alidemudia, and like always, I like to encourage you to keep signing up with us on www.clivina.com. Thank you. Today we'll be discussing the sectors in Turkey with huge business potential for Africa. And then my guests are Mr. Hamani Mossad. He is an international relations specialist, and also Mr. Ben Onyenku Ayambe, who is the president, Nigeria in Diaspora Europe Turkey chapter. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you on board. All right, we'll start with introduction, please. Mr. Hamani, we'll start with you. Please, could you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Well, as you mentioned, Franca, my name is Hamani Masood. I am a graduate from Political Science Department at Gombe State University, Nigeria. I specialize in international relations and strategic studies, and I'm pursuing my PhD research on the same topic, both international relations and international security, as well as strategic studies.
Mr. Ben.
Thank you very much. The name is Ben Onyenku Ayambe. I run my own consulting, business and education consulting company, as well as currently the president of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, Turkey chapter. I'm glad to be here. And I guess we're going to have a great time. Thank you.
Exactly. All right, Mr. Hamani, I would like to start with you. Could you please describe Turkey as a country?
Well, in a nutshell, it's not easy to describe Turkey as well, but in a nutshell, we can say that Turkey is an emerging economy. It's both a country that has clear goals and ambition to become both regional power, as well as global player. And they don't shy away at all from saying it out loud to whoever wants to hear it, that they have a clear, realistic goals to engage with the world, to engage with countries all over the world, including the African continent, which has been excluded from their foreign policy for quite some times. So in a nutshell, as I say, Turkey is a country that is very assertive and bold enough to claim its own place in the 21st century.
Thank you. Mr. Ben, I'd like you to come in here. I'd like to describe Turkey as a commercial hub.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about Turkey when it comes to commercial aspect of it. I think Turkey is more or less the China of Middle East, if you like, but with relatively more moderate and more, higher quality products that is very close to, if not similar to, the European products in small scale and medium scale industry, also going to large scale industry as well. So when you think about moving your businesses and also thinking about the technical support that you might need to improve your businesses, I think you can easily find well-established, well-experienced, and very, very, highly qualified companies and service providers to help you do that. So for small-scale industries, in most production-based, economies, you can find machinery and equipment and all those machines you need to use in improving your industrial and your production and one of the activities you're engaged with. So I think people know about China, but I think in terms of quality and competitive price, Turkey is a to sort out, machines and products to boost your company from, where it is to a higher, a bigger level.
So thank you so much, sir. I'd like to remind you, audience, that Cleveland TV is an online platform created to bring together Africans back home and in diaspora to celebrate and appreciate our successes, achievements, businesses, and lots more. Please, if you've not signed up with us today, please do so on www.cleveland.com. We'll take a short break here and we will come back. The discussion continues. Thank you.
Clevenard in Diaspora Television is an internet online TV service. What sets us apart is a unique combination of hit African content, first and exclusive international free movies, series, musics, news, events, documentaries, tourism, teleshopping shows, youth TV programs, and live interviews. Clevenard Diaspora Television is available throughout Sub-Saharan Africa and to the diaspora markets worldwide. Take your entertainment with you wherever you go. Watch on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, smart TV, depending on your device. Watch free movies with Clevenard Movies Television. Stop searching for free movies websites and watch Clevenard Movies Television. Watch your favorite African shows anywhere at any time. Don't forget to check out our top 5 TV channels created to get you informed. TV1, Clevenard in Diaspora Television. TV2, Clevenard Youth Television. TV3, Clevenard Movies Television. TV4, Clevenard Teleshopping Television. TV5, Clevenard Tourism Television. To start watching, sign up at www.clevenard.com and follow the easy steps. Once you're done, log into the Clevenard website or app on your device, click on any one of our 5 TV channels, and hit play. We will be very satisfied and happy to welcome you to our team as one of our new business partners. Contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com.
Welcome back. Before we went to the short break, we're trying to take a brief analysis of the country Turkey itself, and Mr. Ben tried to give one or two informations about the country and its viability in commercial and tech and economy. Now, I wanted to come here, Mr. Hamani. Please, could you tell us how conducive is the country itself in doing business?
All right, I think it's muted.
Yeah, it's muted.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
okay, you're still recording,
Yes.
sir.
No.
He's back now.
Yeah.
So I was saying that Turkey is one of the few countries that, among the developing countries, that have created, optimal conditions for businesses with other developing nations such as African continent as a whole. When we look at Turkish foreign policy and also the Turkish, business initiatives in the last 10 to 15 years, we have seen there was a huge surge in not only diplomatic relationship, but also in, movement of people and goods, in and out from Turkey, especially with the African continent. 10 years, 15 years ago, basically, no one knows about Turkey as such. Only the elites and intellectuals know that. So, but when you look at today, the African diaspora in Turkey is really important. The business, and entrepreneurs, businessmen and entrepreneurs are flocking in number. I can say confidently that if you remove China, the European Union as a whole, and I think Turkey would be one of the few country or region that is really conducive. And they have one of the things that make Turkey a conducive, environment for business, especially for us, is the affordability. when I mean affordability here, I'm making, quality price, relationship here. When we take Chinese goods, yes, they do have quality goods, but in general, Chinese goods that flow to African continent are mostly very low or low quality products, while Turkish products in general are from EU standards, because Turkish industrial system was established to supply European market mainly. So we expect a certain quality level from Turkish products. And when we look at the Turkish currency itself is not that strong, especially in those few years. So which makes it easy for African countries and African businessmen to come down to Turkey to buy quality goods with a certain, with a certain affordability. The same product they cannot buy in the European Union or in United States of America. So in that sense, I can say yes, Turkey, can be said to be a conducive environment for businesses, especially for developing countries like the African countries.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. Ayambe. You are the NIDO president, which is Nigerian Diaspora in Europe, Turkey chapter. Now, let's come in this way. What is the difference between the economic and sector or the environment in Africa and in Turkey itself, and why do we have the kind of environment we have in Africa quite different from the ones we have in Turkey?
All right, to answer your question, I'm going to put it this way. Number one, I think the economic and trade, if you like, policies of Turkey is quite a novelty. Turkey has a well-organized system of doing business and regulating business communities. And what I mean is that there are institutions, organizations that are put forward either to control the quality of products and make sure they have their own, quality institution that check the quality of the product and approve it before it goes to the market. But one great thing that is working for Turkey is the establishment of, 3 zones, industrial estates.
Okay.
Like here in the capital city where I stay, there are more than 10 huge industrial estates. And they also have what they call the community of industries called OSI, where, most industries converge together, including all sectors, in manufacturing and producing of machinery and all that. And the government of Turkey is hugely involved in setting up these, entrepreneurs or inventors or these, people who are involved in business. For instance, you come to university as an engineer and you want to work in the line of producing tractors or machinery in dairy products or any other huge industry, or even renewable energy, electricity, energy, and all that. The government will give you the loan to start the business. And only to allow you to work maybe for 10, 20 years or so before even talking about paying back the loan. If your company is doing well, paying their taxes, providing, export products, you may not be able to pay back the loan. So they have this model of encouraging, entrepreneurs and newcomers who have business ideas or who want to work on some invention. And this is helping to boost the industrial hub of Turkey in every city. This is not just for one city. It's a broad kind of program that spans to many provinces in Turkey. And this is helping to make the business a boom. So the interest rate here is as low as anything you can imagine. So for those who are also looking for loan, it is easy to access loans for establishing businesses. But most of the time, the governments are handy to help newcomers establish business. Then one last thing is the technopark. So it is another aspect in this modern age. So there are so many technoparks in Turkey where technology and the related artificial intelligence and the related sectors of encouraged. And this is also being supported heavily by the government. So I think we don't have this kind of system or mechanism in Africa yet. So and it is so well organized here, and most of these sectors are constructed in such an international standard to also meet international requirements in any commercial engagement they are working on.
All right. Now, I want to believe that the main objective of the formation of NIDO, I don't know if other countries has this, Mr. Hamani, but the main objective of establishing NIDO was to bridge the gap.
Yes, you're right. The NIDO is not only to bridge the gap, but also to help in capacity building back home in Nigeria, because most of the Nigerians who are involved in any of these sectors may acquire skills that might be very, very useful and beneficial to our home countries in Africa. So I guess this is partly what NIDO tries to facilitate. But I must say that for here in Turkey, the one thing that is lacking is Turkey is not yet into absorbing most of the professional skills of foreigners into certain sectors. So you have to be a citizen to work or to be allowed to work in those sectors. But medicine, let's say computer, software related fields, and if I'm not mistaken, maybe you can come in, Mr. Masood. Yeah. So if there are these areas, there are many foreigners who are involved, and also maybe in terms of business development. But one thing is most Turkish companies are willing to either collaborate, make investment, and also transfer some of these skills with their partners in Africa. So this is something that is working for, that works. And some of us who are here, myself, we are trying to engage Turkish companies, as many of them as possible, to partner with our Nigerian counterparts in order to not only invest, but also pass on some of these skills to the corresponding counterparts in Nigeria. Yes, Mr. Hamad, you can also add something to this.
Yes, actually, Mr. Benjamin, you're right. There are this possibility, and all of us are working towards, bringing in Turkish industrial sector, business sector, as well as investment sector, in matching it with the African also businessman and also investment sector. And as you mentioned, it's not just about investing. It's not just about making business partnership. It's also about skills transfer and technology transfer, because one of the hinges that is affecting Nigeria particularly, and the African continent in general, is actually lack of technological skills and technological tools to improve or to boost our industrial capacity. So in that sense, I think and I believe that Turkey can really be of great inputs in this way. And if I may add, this thing is that when we look at also the Turkish desire to engage the world, to engage African continent by reaping some diplomatic benefits, this is also a leverage that we as Africans can use in order to gain something from Turkey, especially, as I say, technological transfer. Because, as you know, both other countries in the world, whether it's the Western countries, particularly Europeans and Chinese, for decades we have been engaging with them, but we have never had enough technological transfer, just because they don't feel the need to do that transfer. But Turkey needs that support. And if they need to get something from Africans, they have to be able to give something. China was able to provide huge loans for a long period of time, what they call soft loans. Turkish economy does not have such capacity to compete with China. Europe has other different things that they can offer. So I believe one of the things that we as Africans should focus more is how to improve our skills, our technological skills and knowledge. But that's what we can get from Turkey we can use it as a leverage. I mean, but this has to be done in a very coordinated move, I think. If you get my point.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I think that's one of the highest, biggest incentive for Africans who are to do business with Turkey. So the possibility of not only collaborating with Turkey, but the transferring of the technological and technical skills to their partners in Africa. But then also, that's why we are here. It is advisable that when that kind of negotiations are being done, most of us who are resident in Turkey and know how businesses are done should be contacted to facilitate and make it more lasting, enduring kind of benefit to the whole country. Otherwise, you may not get as much leverage as you may get if you go into these things on your own without employing the knowledge, the services and assistance of people already very vast in how things run in the country.
It's all right.
Yes, Ms. Franca. Yes, we were.
Yeah, please, I would like us to take. Yeah, thank you so much for to take a very short break here, and then we'll return quickly with the continuation of the interview.
In the 21st century's technological advancement, we all seek opportunities to move and network with the emerging space. Introducing Clevenard Blog and Event Posting. Do you think you have some interesting materials, good content, articles, and stories? Then feel free to publish them on Clevenard Blog and Events page, just as team of our writers are doing presently. By blogging on Clevenard's blogs and events, you benefit from our reach and network. There are a constant stream of people visiting our social platform, and we have figured out just how to distribute our contents. This means you can basically skip the line and get access to a big audience from day one. Furthermore, we can help you get in touch with important people for projects with possibilities of translating your content into other languages and republishing them on Clevenard. This helps preserve and protect your content from getting lost. What's more, you also get to be part of our team with access to our network and lots of exclusives, behind-the-scenes information. And of course, you get full credit for everything you do, which brings you popularity and make extra income. Sign up now on clevenard.com and start blogging to your advantage. Please see the tutorial video on how to blog or post events on Clevenard Blogs and Events. For more information, contact info@clevenard.com +34 631-279811. Website www.clevenard.com. Clevenard, your blogs, your identity.
All right, you're welcome back. All right, my question will go to Mr. Hamani, please. You are a international relations specialist, okay, and also an African. Back here in Africa, we all know that there are lots of potentials from this continent, but somehow because of an elusive of peace and insecurity, we are having a lot of difficulties in having to do one or two things or export our content here to the diaspora market. What do you think we are not doing right as a continent?
Well, thank you for this question, Franca. This is actually one of the most stringent issues that is bedeviling the African continent as a whole. There are many issues, but I will start by mentioning one of the most important to my opinion here is, first of all, lack of unity. I always emphasize on this. Africans, this is one of the big, how do you say it, paradox. Africans, wherever they go, they are viewed as one. Whenever you get out of the African continent, it doesn't matter whether you come from Nigeria, South Africa, Niger, Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, it doesn't matter. The first perception of a non-African is that you are an African first. They might ask you where you come from, what you do, and this and that, but the main perception is you are African. Unfortunately, we Africans, we are not seeing ourselves this way. We are so much divided, not just among ourselves as individual group, but even our policymakers, decision makers, and our leaders. When an African country is facing insecurity problems, for example, it's very difficult to see other African countries stand up and saying, let us go and fight this insecurity in this country. We have seen that Nigeria has been fighting with Boko Haram.
Exactly.
For over a decade right now. Okay, of course, some countries like Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, because they are also affected, have managed to create some kind of joint task, force. But we haven't seen a mobilization from the African communities all over, all African countries to say, let's go and solve these issues. We have seen conflict in Congo, conflict in Mali, conflicts in Central Africa. In fact, the entire
even in
Ghana. Really, even Ghana right now, it's coming down towards Ghana and Ivory Coast. So we are expecting other countries outside the African continent, Europe, US, China, and other countries to come and solve our problems. That's one of the biggest issues. So this is one of them. The next issue is, we have to be clear, is that we are lacking both human resource and also infrastructure. What I mean by human resource, I mean qualified human resource. What we have as human resource, when you look at it, the most qualified people tend to go or stay abroad because of the lack of opportunities at home. Those who have had the chance to stay or to go abroad, few of them do come back home, which means our continent is getting depleted year after year, decades after decades of its own, sons and daughters who have the capacity, the knowledge, and the know-how to advance this continent. And the second thing I mentioned, infrastructure. When you look at our infrastructures, mostly they are outwards. What I mean outwards is always related from the interior of the country to the post areas. We all want to export and import, mostly export of raw materials, oil and agricultural products, and imports of finished goods. The trade, according to the latest statistics, between African countries is just 7%. The entire African continent is just having only 7% of the trade among itself. 93% of it is with the outer world. So this is one of the key factors that is making us weak, and we will keep being weak. We will stay this way until we realize that, look, we are Africans, and no matter the differences that exist among us, we have to come back on a common platform and try to cooperate more. I mean, let us be clear, when we look at all those summits, Turkey Africa Summit, China Africa Summit, US Africa Summit, France Africa Summit, Russia Africa Summit, I mean, it's really laughable. how can a country, no matter how powerful it is, both military or economy, can round up an entire continent like Africa and just we cannot even see this. This shows the level of our weakness, the level of our disunity, and the level of lack of vision. And unless and until we are able to solve these paradigmatic issues, that has to do with unity. I mean, I'm not saying that we have to become one government, one country. This is almost, yeah, but we have to create platforms and strategies to react together commonly to any issues. Whether it's security, we should not expect somebody to come in with. But okay, in relation to Turkey, for example, Turkey is one country which was able to improve itself. But when you compare Turkey with Nigeria today, if Nigeria is to exploit and to put in to really, expand its own potential, I mean, Turkey wouldn't even be of much to a country like Nigeria. But due to some structural deficiencies, what I mean by structural, it could be both political, economic, social, in every sense, that are very peculiar to the Nigerian state itself. We can say Nigeria appears to be like a weaker state compared to Turkey, while if we are to, Nigeria is to be really use its potential, it has to be among the top 10 in this world today. And it has this potential. Today, we can even see that even the traditional leadership of Nigeria in West Africa is kind of getting, it's fading away, in the sense that we can see how some other countries are being played by external powers. I mean, through the ECOWAS. Nigeria used to be the traditional leader of ECOWAS, the natural leader of ECOWAS. But in the few years we have seen, ECOWAS has been used by foreign powers, external powers, to manipulate and destabilize other countries, which is very unfortunate. So, as your question said, is what we lack mostly, as I said, is unity, both human resources and infrastructure, as well as common vision. Because we lack common vision. We have African Union, we have ECOWAS and other regional organizations like the IGAD, but we lack common vision. Right. And as long as we stay this...
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yes. As long as we stay this way, believe me, in the future we'll be having summit like Brazil, Africa, India, African summit. And this is lovable. And I mean, look at us. Look at how we are. We are supposed to be a power. I mean, as a continent.
Exactly. But let me come here, please. Now, whose responsibility is it to bridge this gap?
Well, the responsibility here, I can say, Franca, is a shared responsibility, both on the decision makers, the policy makers, and also the people. Just that the people cannot be blamed, because we cannot expect the people to have seen, because of the level of education. People have to be educated, they have to be enlightened to understand certain things. But both policymakers and decision makers. So decision makers, we're talking about the political class, the political elite, and the policymakers are the intellectual elite. And those are the two that should come together and elaborate short, medium, and long-term strategies, visions, and goals. And unless we do that, we will keep staying in our micro states, small states. I mean, when I mean small, not by population or land, but in terms of power. So we will stay in our states and developing local strategies which cannot compete in this world. Today, we can see that powerful countries are trying to, exert influence in Africa. We're having in southern part of Africa, Russia and China and South Africa having military exercise. US on its way is going down towards Kenya, grouping some East African countries, or in Ghana. So we Africans are just here sitting down waiting for another power to come and, pull on one side some of our brothers and go and, put some things in their heads. Another one comes here. We are not capable of doing it. So the responsibility, as I said, is a shared responsibilities, both policymakers and decision makers, and also the population, which I don't blame too much, because we do not expect a population that is not highly educated to be very aware.
Exactly. But if you are saying that the policymakers are supposed to be blamed in all these lapses, and I'm so sure that even the policymakers are not aware of these deficiencies, how do you encourage the policymakers to start standing up to their responsibilities?
Well, this is actually very important. So you see, what we are having currently here is, from a normal perspective, we say this is just a normal decision, a normal discussion. But when we look at it from a pragmatic point of view, this is a platform that allows people, because what Club TV is doing here, if let's say, if we are able to make a perennial platform to bring in people from different African countries, to bring them together and talk. We are all under our let's say in our 40s, and all of us are under 50s. What we say is we are the next generation. We are the younger generation who are well aware, educated, and who have had a very wide, perception about the world. So one of the main things we need to start is by bringing the brains together, both in terms of business, in terms of networks, in terms of academia, bring them together, sharing ideas and creating platform for them to develop. Because the previous generations of our father's generation has already failed, because all of them are already retired or they're about to be retired. And those who have succeeded the most have actually stayed in the West, because that's where they get opportunity. So we can no longer rely on them. We have to see ourselves, the new generation, as the vanguard of our development. And we have to start now. I mean, we have to use this kind of platforms, bringing in experts and experienced people in every aspect, discussing, elaborating strategies, so that, and projecting ourselves in the next 10 years. Where will we be in the next 10 years? I don't want to stay in Turkey for the next 10 years. I want to go back to Africa. It doesn't matter in my country. I prefer to stay in any African country today than staying anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
After living
African is a beautiful home. Yeah, seriously, sorry for cutting you short there, but I'd like to come in here and ask this question. I still wanted to take this question. Social and economic reforms. How can we, or how can Africa imbibe that?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, what social and economic reform? Let me rephrase this question. What social and economic reforms can Africa imbibe to curtail the challenges we currently have with it?
Well, it's talking about social and economic reform in Africa is not going to be an easy thing to do, in the sense that we have different countries. And every country has different realities. Unfortunately, it's because of the history, the incident of history, colonization and stuff that divided us. We have, in the last 60 years, we have been trapped into a nation identity paradigm in which we have been struggling to create. And so if we are to create or to make some reforms, first of all, every country has to draft its own social and economic reforms, and then we take it to the regional. What I mean by regional: West Africa, North Africa, Central, East, and South. Let me take an example of Nigeria, a country that I know quite well. Nigeria is one of the most diverse countries in the world, not just in Africa, both in terms of language, culture, history, whatever. One of the best way to bring about economic reforms is to have medium and long-term reforms. Short-term reforms, which are based on exploiting natural resources, are always doomed to fail. Of course, they will allow politicians to keep, going on. But medium to long-term, what does it mean by medium to long-term? Let's say, for example, we look at the oil that is exploited in the southern part of Nigeria, for example. Okay, we have this oil. How many years do we expect to continue exploiting the reserve? Let's say roughly 30 to 40 years. Okay, when that oil finishes, what are we going to do? So we look at these 30, 40, or 50 years of oil exploitation, and we say, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to use this part of oil. Maybe 30% will be kept to be invested in the region that oil is being exploited, because that region is going to be affected environmentally. So they deserve to have, let's say, 30%, 1/3 of it. The 2/3 will now be used to industrialize the other part of the country, so that in the next 3, 4, 5 decades, we will see a clear, fallback of what we have been exploiting as oil. When you look at the oil exploration and exploitation of in Nigeria currently, what can we say, apart from the few buildings in Abuja, the NNPC building and stuff, what can we say that the oil of Nigeria has really benefited in every single state? There is no, maybe apart from the road, there's no clear and standard, thing like industry, So what I'm saying, we have to look at beyond the short term. We have to look at medium, long strategic terms. And it has to be done from countries, because every country has its own reality. Some countries don't have oil, some countries do have different resources. And then probably on a regional basis, as I said, West, East, Central, and then maybe we can go to the continental things. Of course, there is what we call the Africa 2063. Africa Vision 2063, which I am a critic of. I believe they say Africa Emergence 2063. With that, we are expected to become emerging continent by 2063, which I say is really a nonsense, because why should we wait until 2063 to become an emerging continent? I mean, by 2063, all of us will be retired. So which means those who are making decisions on our behalf, who are already in their 60s, let's say in their 70s, are saying, let's wait until 2063 to be emergent. By that time, none of them will be on this earth. So exactly. This is actually showing the huge deficiency in terms of vision from our leaders and our policymakers.
And I thank you so much, Mr. Hamani. You are talking about 2020, 2060 something. I think a few years back, ahead of 2020, Nigeria or Africa being among the viable economies of the world by year 2020, and it's 2023, and we are even still nowhere near it. Now, you did made mention of over-dependence on our crude oil, and you did mention again that when we've exhausted our oil, what other factors or other angle, other aspect do we have to fall back on? Nigerians, our policymakers, we are not thinking in that regard. Mr. Ben Ayambe, please, I'll come back to you on that. Apart from the oil sector, we have other sectors that need to be developed, okay? Other local content in terms of and fashion, in terms of shoemaking, like what we discussed earlier about and all that. Now, developing local content in Africa, we know that it has a very huge role to play in what comes into the country at the end of the day. Whose responsibility is it to push that, and then how can it be done?
Oh, thank you. Was just enjoying you two talking before. Anyway, actually, let me add one thing to what my friend was saying about what we need to do before I answer your question. I think which will also be part of my Africa may not be lacking in human resources, because human resources of Africa is scattered all over the world. But we need to harness this human resource. And what is, preventing African countries from harnessing these resources are partly because of lack of political will. I think one of the biggest problems Africa and African leaders have is the political will to deliver. We've been taking Nigeria as a case study when it comes to paperwork, planning, strategy. We have it on paper. We have even maybe finest kind of drawing on how to develop. You just mentioned the 2020. If you look at it, you get your hand on that program, you find a lot of fine programs, but there was no political will to deliver. And you also, add weight to that. When you see countries like Rwanda or Kenya or Tanzania, where you begin to have leaders with political will, you begin to see changes. So I think if Africa can borrow a lead from these countries, Rwanda, the president has the political will to deliver and to really implement some of the visionary or policy to make the country quite progressive and to make it develop. So that's one thing. And another thing is the lack of awareness of civic duty. So we are, we've been, our politicians have been using, poverty as a weapon to keep the people, dependent and submissive to them. And if the people will know their right and arise and have enough political and civic awareness of what their roles in terms of helping the country to develop, that will help a lot. Now, coming to your question about local content, I think it is something we need to do, and it is very, very. Okay, let's see, for example, if you look at Nigeria, the music industry or entertainment industry has really shown that local content can, take the country from, an unknown or irrelevant to relevant, country.
Exactly.
Of the international community. So I think there are a lot, Africa can offer in terms of developing and advancing its local content. And another thing is we are here, we travel, we meet people from the West, from Far East Asia and from Europe. And you find out that, some of these people, they don't even have that kind of appealing culture that Africa has. And we don't know how to brand our thing. We're waiting, recently eating Iba or with a goosey or did have been trending on TikTok. And it is not done by our people. It is when the Westerners try to add flair to them that people that begin to ask, oh, I heard Nigeria has this food, or there is this food in West Africa. We don't have that, how will I put it, that the skills to, present the quality local content we have and make them appealing to the international community. But I think there is more focus on that. But the more we try to, because here, these people, we live with them, we find out that our cultures are richer, our heritage is richer. We have local content that can even brighten and make life, whether in health or in entertainment, other things. So we're not using them. So the more we use them, the more we can even attract not only investment, but support and respect from the international community.
So I thank you so much. We Africans, we don't even value what we have, and we are having the Turkey's eyes on the continent itself. What is Turkey's focus in Africa, if I may ask?
That's a good question. One, in terms of vision and political, drawing, Turkey has a huge focus on, working with African countries. Some of their reasons are, either the Europeans do not accept what they have to offer wholeheartedly, or give them too many conditions that will, make them not competitive enough. Number two, there is also the issue of, Europeans or Westerners looking at themselves superior to everybody and anybody, including Turkey. So they have found that, also this has been extended to African countries, and most of them have been marginalized. So for the first time in the last 5 years or more, Turkey has heavily focused on Africa to, collaborate, and they are projecting themselves as ready to work with Africa at par, not like as their superior. So with that kind of approach and frame of mind, I think they are heavily into investing and collaborating with Africa. And also, if you can look, Turkey didn't have more than maybe 5-10 embassies in Africa. But today, they have nearly about 40 embassies. And these new embassies were opened just in the last 5 years. This is in a bid to, to back up their desire and vision to work with African countries. So in terms of Turkey's vision, I think it's solid. It is something that is both the Turkish opposition and main ruling party are in support, and Turkey's businessmen are in support. The only thing lacking is we don't have the accommodating framework and system to absorb Turkish business community. So we still allow all these pockets of differences, conflicts here and there, to scare people from coming. But in terms of readiness, Turkey is not looking to the east, is not more looking to Europe. More of Turkish vision and focus in business and commercial technological collaboration is towards Africa.
All right. So do you think we can actually overcome that challenge you just mentioned?
Can we overcome it? Yes, we can. And that takes me back to the engagement of the diasporans with our countries back home, especially if I may use Nigeria also as a case study. So there are people who came here to do businesses, and sorry to say that because of ignoring the experience and exposure and expertise of the diasporans resident in that country, for instance here in Turkey, they did not get the best deal out of their negotiations with the host country here. So I think the engagement of the diasporans will help to solve that problem for our country. Another thing is, like I mentioned, lack of political policies and the enabling environment. Sometimes most of the Turkish businesses, they cannot take their money out of Africa or other countries in Nigeria easily. So I think our government needs to work on it. This issue of double exchange rate is also something that as a businessman wants to have a feasibility study, they can rely on. So you come into the country, it is difficult to access foreign currency when you live here. It's just free. I mean, if you have a legitimate business that is not that is meant to promote even the local economy, you get as much foreign currency as you need. If you need to transfer your money, if you're doing business here, you need to transfer all your gains outside Turkey. There is nothing restricting you. So we need that kind of enabling environment in our policies so as to allow business people to get attracted to do business and not be afraid of some of these kind of hitches that seem to be the order of the day. And lastly, corruption. We need to deal with corruption. I knew of many a company here that wanted to come and build international standard or world-class airport in Abuja on what we call BOT business terms. Is build, operate, and transfer. And till now, my sister, the Nigerian government either scare these companies away through funding that this and that be done first to benefit me.
Tax and all.
Done. Or, they don't just want to buy into it. So they frustrate companies of this nature that want to come and invest into the country because of corruption. So, and when they ask for, upfront benefit, which is also acceptable in business, it is ridiculously huge enough to scare the investor. So we need to deal with corruption and have people who are
so pathetic.
Yeah, who are patriotic and also want to give something to the community, not looking for their own personal need ahead of that of the.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We are running off shortly, and my next question will go to Mr. Hamani. Mr. Hamani, I'd like you to come in here. In this partnership between the Turkish and the African, how do Africans benefit from it? How can will Africans benefit from it?
Well, thank you for these questions. So in order to be able to answer these questions, we have to also go back to the question that you asked Mr. Ben earlier on, and from the element of answer that he has given. So before I answer this, let me add to what he has said on your previous question, that what Turkey is looking in Africa. Because first, when somebody comes to you, first you have to know what he wants. And only if you understand what he wants, that based on that you can say, okay, this is what I want. This is how business works. You want something from me, this is what I need. So we have to understand what Turkey needs. In addition to what Mr. Ben said earlier on, which is actually very clear, I would say that many people don't, especially Africans, don't know the exact what is the importance of the African continent at the world stage today. Africa is 54 countries out of 198, which means we are 28% of the international community, almost 1/3. So 28% of the total United Nations votes. There is no single unit in the world that has such a number. Even Asia, the largest continent in the world, does not have 54 states. So when Turkey comes first to Africa, one of the things they need is the African support for every single issue and motion they will be taken to the United Nations. Because every single thing you need today, one of the key obstacles against Russia and Ukraine conflict is the African votes. And once you are able to secure the African votes in the United Nations, you have the guarantee that you have 28% of the support. So therefore, you only need to have few support, and then you're out. That's number one. Turkey needs the African votes in the United Nations for whatever issue that will come up. Even if it has to be sanctioned, maybe some sanction will be taken against Turkey. Once the African continent says no, it's very easy for those sanctions not to work. Secondly, Africa is a market. You should not forget that the continent of Africa is the youngest continent in the world. We have the youngest population. We have also the rising middle class, because Africa is expected in the next 20 to 50 years to have the highest middle class in the world, which means the purchasing power is going to increase, which means the people that have that are in the age of working and earning money so that they can spend, it's going to be in Africa. Therefore, Turkey needs these huge markets for their industry, because they have industrial base and they need a huge market. Europe is shrinking. Europe is rich, true, but the market is shrinking. The population is shrinking. So it's no longer a future. Europe is not the continent of the future. Africa is the future, and everybody says it. Everybody knows that, maybe except Africans, if I may say so. So Turkey needs those things: the markets, the supports in international community, but also if you are aware that there is a plan to what we call enlarge the UN Security Council, because the world is at crisis. The big powers are about to clash with themselves. The United Nations, which was created after the Second World War to prevent war against, between countries, is about to fail. The only way they can avoid failing is if they can extend the UN Security Council, which is only 5 countries. And there is one famous speech of the Turkish president who says, "Dünya beşten büyüktür," that the world is bigger than 5, which means, yes, the UN Security Council is going to be enlarged. there will be 2 seats that will be given to the African continent. And there is now struggle between countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, who wants to have that seat. In Asia, there will be some countries that will be given. In Middle East this way and Latin America this way. So Turkey is one of the countries that is contending for this permanent seat in the UN Security Council. They cannot rely on the Middle East because the Middle East is a very complicated zone. They cannot rely on Europeans. They have their own issues with the Europeans. Asia, already you have 2 big powers, also 3 actually, China, India, and Russia. They are competing in Asia. Russia is controlling the Central Asia, China the rest, and India the rest. So for them, Africa is a must. So once we understand what Turkey needs from Africa, then we can say this is what we need. And then we look at Turkey. What is Turkey offering to us now? Turkey is saying, I will offer to the young people to be educated. When we look in the last 10 years, the country that has been giving the largest share of scholarship in the world is Turkey. Look at their economy compared to Japan and France, UK, but they give the highest number of Turkish scholarship. Is one of the most popular scholarship today in Africa. You have, through this scholarship scheme, thousands and thousands of Africans has come to Turkey. And in return, we have opened our doors and our countries to Turkish businessmen, construction companies, investments. So here, what can we get from Turkey? As I said, we can get knowledge, technological know-how and skills, because Europe will not give us this technology. They will not give us. China is not going to give us this technology because China is planning to become the hegemon. They don't want to have a continent that is potentially the rival in the future. They don't want to have that. Europe will not. If Europe is willing to give us technology, they would have given it long ago. Turkey is willing to trade what they have as technology if they are able to secure some things. So we can get technological know-how from Turkey. That is number 1. Number 2, when we look at today, Turkey, it has its own capacity to drill its own oil, to drill its own gas, to conduct research and exploration missions. When you look at the African continent today, only 2 countries in the world have their own, in Africa, Angola and Algeria have national oil company that have the technology to explore and extract oil and gas. Nigeria, despite its does not have such technology. So all the oil that we have, for example, in Nigeria, even though it's the giant in terms of exploration of oil, it's done by foreign companies like Shell, Chevron, and BP. Yes, only Algeria and Angola do have this technology. So Turkey has this technology, yet they don't have enough oil. They are barely scourging the oceans and seas to see what they can get. If a country like Nigeria can say, all right, I can give you huge access to my markets, but in return, I want to have this technology. So that instead of Nigeria giving oil fields to Shell, BP, or Texaco, Nigerian NNPC can now drill its own oil and reap 100% of the profit. This is one thing we can look at it this way. The second thing is industrial base, transformation, production. What we have, we cannot just jump on and go to production of cars and airplanes and stuff. But what we need, we can use Turkish experience in the production of spare parts. Turkey has had a lot of experience from Europe. They have assembling factories, and then they have factories that produce a lot of spare parts, industrial spare parts. Today, we can have certain industry itself that can be built 100% in Turkey. So they will build all the components and assemble an industry. So this is what we call the third level of industrial production. It's not just about transforming or producing, but also producing the spare parts to maintain that industry. This is a critical point. We can have an industry. Today, one of the main problems of Nigerian refineries is that most of those refineries were closed because of lack of maintenance. Why is it? Because the maintenance is actually very expensive. Every single unit, every single part has to be.
Yeah, but I would think that Nigeria will have the natural resource, the financial resources to be able to meet up with that challenge. Don't you think so? If we really want to do something about it.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, Nigeria has the potential to be among the top 10 powers in the world, both economically and militarily wise. It has the potential. What is the problem is that there are structural problems. It's very peculiar to the Nigerian state. I mean, corruption is one of them, instability is one of them, especially corruption and nepotism is one of the key things. So Nigeria does have the capacity, but when you look at the oil production today, why is it that the oil is not really benefiting Nigeria? Let us look at clearly, Nigeria is not even benefiting 20% of it, because a large part of the oil is taken, more than 50% is taken by foreign companies as their own share, because they are the largest shareholder. Second, that oil is now transferred outside to be refined, to send in the refined products. Now there's the new Dangote refinery, which is going to help things, but it's not enough when you look at Nigerian potential. And all those things. Look at the refineries that Dangote has established. It has cost around 12 billion US dollars. We have seen how huge equipments are brought in from ships and installed. All those things could be produced locally. If we are to produce things locally in Nigeria, maybe that refinery would cost maybe a third of it. So right now, look at this refinery. Every single thing in that refinery is to be imported. Every single spare parts for repair or maintenance has to be imported from outside. Turkey has this chance because of its proximity to Europe. Many of European companies and factories move to Turkey to establish themselves so that they can have cheap production because of the cheap labor. So Turkey has technological and skills here. We can get benefit. We can say to Turkey, look, you want access to, we know what you want from us. We are ready to give it to you. But then we have to make clear that this is what we want. So first, if we want to benefit from Turkey, we have to know exactly what we want. We have to, as I said, write down our strategies. What is it that we want? Do we want to just keep producing oil? Oh, we are the largest oil producer? No. Do we just want to say, oh, we have a big refinery, but actually every single pipe we have to bring in from outside? Yeah. So we have to look beyond this by saying, what does this country has to offer? Turkey doesn't have natural resources. Turkey, yes, they can provide some military. Also, this is another aspect, military. Military-wise, Turkey is really trying in terms of medium, warfare equipments, from their own helicopters to their own rocket system to drone equipments to heavy artilleries. Turkey has good equipments. What we can do, we can also use this as this Turkey wanting to integrate, to approach the Africans and say, okay, we just don't want to buy weapons from you, but we want you to come and help us in developing our own aviation sector. They do have this technology. Europe would not give us these things. The US would never give us such things. Even China would not give us these things. Russia wouldn't do that. Turkey, due to its fragility as a state, a global power, is a very fragile country because it's alone. We are one continent. We can be classified as poor countries or non-advanced countries, but we have we have a huge platform, which is African country. Turkey doesn't have that. Turkey is lost in between 4 different regions. Some parts is Europe, some part is Middle East, some part is Central Asia, some part is Caucasus. They don't even know exactly where do we belong. They are struggling to find where to belong to. In Middle East is a messy. They don't see themselves as Arabs. Even though they share religious similarities, they don't see themselves with Arabs. They don't really go hand in hand with Arabs. They want to identify with Central Asia, which are Turkic nations, but those Turkic nations have different socio-political life due to USSR and closeness with China. They want to identify with Europe. We all know the story. Europe is not accepting them this way. What we have Caucasus, Georgia, Azerbaijan, it's also problematic. So they have a big issue of finding themselves under a regional family. So we Africans, we have this chance to have this big family.
The best and final option for them is Africa.
Africa, yes, because they don't have any painful past with Africa. There is no colonization system with Africa. There is no exploitation system with Africa. So we can see Turkey as a fair partner. We don't have any historical, painful past with them. So yes, we can use this, and we know they are vulnerable. Their vulnerability is this because they don't have this huge, regional support. So if we can give them African support unconditionally, then we can ask them something that they don't have the choice. They will have to give it. If we say, Turkey, we need technology. If you don't give us this technology, then look, we will not be able to cooperate. So they will have to, because they have no other options.
Israel, thank you so much. You've spoken a lot, and I do hope the department responsible for making this happen actually begins to look into this and then begin to develop the kind of partnership that will favor Africa in the long run. Thank you so much. We'll take a short break here, a last short break actually for this program. And when we'll come back, we'll be discussing your 9-day exclusive tour of Turkey in full. Come back shortly.
All right. Thank you.
In the 21st century's technological advancement, we all seek opportunities to move and network with the emerging space. Introducing Clevenard Blog and Event Posting. Do you think you have some interesting materials, good content, articles, and stories? Then feel free to publish them on Clevenard Blog and Events page, just as a team of our writers are doing presently. By blogging on Clevenard's blogs and events, you benefit from our reach and network. There are a constant stream of people visiting our social platform, and we have figured out just how to distribute our contents. This means you can basically skip the line and get access to a big audience from day one. Furthermore, we can help you get in touch with important people for projects with possibilities of translating your content into other languages and republishing them on Clevenard. This helps preserve and protect your content from getting lost. What's more, you also get to be part of our team with access to our network and lots of exclusives, behind-the-scenes information. And of course, you get full credit for everything you do, which brings you popularity and make extra income. Sign up now on clevenard.com and start blogging to your advantage. Please see the tutorial video on how to blog or post events on Clevenard Blogs and Events. For more information, contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com. Clevenard, your blogs, your identity.
All right, welcome back. It's still Cleveland TV in diaspora. And if you're yet to sign up with us, please do so via www.clevenard.com. Before we went on the short break, we heard from Mr. Hamani and also Mr. Ben, and each trying to analyze the potential in Africa for the Turkey markets. Now, we're wrapping up in a minute, and we want to, Mr. Ben, please, you'd like to give us an intro, or what is it all about, your 9-day exclusive tour of Turkey?
All right. I want to thank my friend who also gave a lot of perspective about how Africa can benefit from Turkey. But let me also just break it down a little bit and name names. I would like to put this out. If any of our African decision makers or policy makers are listening, or entrepreneurs or business people who would like to do business in Turkey or benefit from Turkey, in the area of construction, Turkey is one of the best bets you have between China and Europe. And when I say construction, I'm talking about construction of roads, bridges, all manner of construction of buildings. The buildings, we're talking about both, apart from the architectural design, you're talking about, building from the, iron to the foils to the materials you need, like electric doors or metal doors, furniture, anything that has to do with building. Turkey is well positioned for that. And also in agriculture, when it comes to mechanized agriculture, this is the place you need to get your, either tractor or other machinery used in agriculture, and that can, help to solve the food scarcity problem. And they have very, very good dairy farming here as well. So, and the technology that goes with that, from producing dairy products, from cheese to milk to anything in that in the sector. So many people know Turkey already in textile, so there is no need talking about that. And when it comes to textile, most of the European textile materials are actually made here and shipped back to Europe, maybe England, and then people say, "Oh, I prefer English or British product to Turkish product," not knowing that those products were made right here in Turkey. So, but if you do textile, you got them. Also, when it comes to energy, just name it in terms of LNG, gas, and the LNG that is used in vehicles. Turkey has the technology and also can extend that to gas plants to provide the electricity. My brother also mentioned the defense. So I am very much aware of the surveillance cameras and drones and military or apparatus that are used in combating today's modern warfare. So Turkey has 10 weapons in surveillance and in drone technology, in defense as well. So when it comes to tourism, Turkey has a very good culture of preserving, historical monuments more than any other, most other countries I know. So we don't have that, culture or habit yet. So we have very huge potential in when it comes to tourism, make them attractive, or even have that technology or know-how to preserve them and get them to be appealing to the international community. So Turkey has that. If it is shipyard or ferry boats or army patrol ships or combat ships, Turkey has that as well. So if you are looking for
all right, Mr. Ibe, thank you so much. I think you you said that extensively, and that is where Cleveland will actually come into play. All right, so if you want to see the practical aspect of what you just described and what you are yet to describe, Cleveland will make that happen for you guys. So let's work together, and it's going to be a win-win partnership deal for both parties. So, but let's talk about your upcoming events now that has to do with tourism, so that we can round up
the upcoming events. The tourism is geared towards getting people to visit some of the very amazing historical monuments here. The more than 5 civilizations that had their home in Turkey, in Istanbul. So Byzantine, Ottoman, Mesopotamia, all that civilization and their ruins are well preserved here in Turkey. And also for biblical sites, most of the biblical sites, dating from the home of Abraham and the Egypt were school of prophets, believed to be the last place where the Ark of Noah settled here in Turkey. And there is one of the oldest civilizations in the world, the Göbekli Tepe, which is the oldest civilization in the world that fits into what you may call the position of the Garden of Eden. So this civilization is viewed to be the oldest in the world, and is.
I'm sorry to cut you short there. All these places you've mentioned, are they in Turkey?
Yes, they are in Turkey.
Wow.
So that is what the meter band. So we are organizing a tour to take people to some of these sites to see these things themselves. Because this other place I was mentioning, maybe we may wait for 6 months or so. The second trip will take us there. But this is a place that is believed to be maybe where, the first human beings, Adam and Eve and his children Noah settled, because this is a very, very old civilization, and it fits into the description of the Garden of Eden, very close to that area. So the people have not really explored or expounded who was behind that civilization, our world. But again, also, when it comes to New Testament, Antioch, where the Christian church was established first outside Jerusalem.
The law of business in Africa, you don't give out all that you have in the package, or else it's become too boring to buy. I think what you said so far is enough to get you the desired audience that you actually wanted. So how do one become part of this tour?
To become part of the tour, very soon we will announce, the link to get more information and to know how to participate. But the tour has been designed to take place sometime this first week of June or last week of May. So we will put out all the information on the website, but for now, you can check. I don't know if it's okay to give the website where people can get more, but through Cleveland, they can also contact me, so that all the information on how to join, we have it, but it will be put out to the public very soon via consulting company.
That's all right. So I want to suggest that when you are ready to give out all the information, the needed information, Cleveland blogs are there. You can blog the information on Cleveland blog. You can actually as well post the information, the flyer on Cleveland events. Then from there you share it to other social media platforms for a larger audience.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best in your endeavor. Mr. Mary, please, I need you to give us a last word for this interview, and then we'll close. Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Please give us a last word.
Well,
Africans, our leaders, and all that.
Yes, Frankie. What I want to say is that I really encourage this kind of initiatives to bring Africans from living in different countries, not just in Turkey or Europe, but even across the world. Canada, New Zealand, US, and other Asian countries. Because we have to share what we have, the little we have, knowledge, skills, experience that we have. We need to share with others, but also we need to learn from others. This is very important. And this is going to help us to build strong networks. What I understood through my few decades of living in different countries outside the continent is that networking is all. If you have good networkings, believe me, your chances to improve your business opportunities, whatever your endeavor is very high. So, and I used to say, everything is all about networks. The more people you know, the more people you meet, the more impactful you could be, in this life. So I believe this initiatives of Cleveland TV is really highly appreciated, and I really encourage you to continue on this path, especially bringing people from different perspectives, sharing different knowledge. And this is how we can improve ourselves for the future to make Africa great again, if you can say that.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Mr. Hamani, and also Mr. Ayambe. Thank you for being my guest in this edition of the program.
It's all my pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right, audience, we round it up here for today. Until next time, when we'll come your way with another guest or other guests on this program. I remain Frank Indemida. Do have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye.